As we approach a new week, characterized by fears over inflation, bond sell-offs, dogs running around without leashes, Bitcoin breaking into new highs, as well as many of our plays having big catalysts this week. Well, with all of this, many of you are coming from far and from wide with one simple question. And that question is what? What, Charlie, are the top 3 stocks for this week? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about the top 3 stocks for this week. But first, let's go ahead and do some recaps and some reminders from last week's picks. Okay, so our crypto stocks, Mara, Lovely Mara, and Riot, Riot. Well, both, in my opinion, have very high likelihoods of breaking out again this week as Bitcoin broke out into new highs over the weekend. Bitcoin looks to be cooling off a little bit right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw even more breaking out as we approach this week. And likewise, we should see that reflected in both Mara and Riot. It is also worth mentioning that during last week's market panic, we had a market inefficiency where despite Bitcoin staying strong, people still decided to go ahead and panic sell Mara and Riot, which then led to even better opportunities to dip buy. So if we see that again too, where these plays separate from Bitcoin, well, that's good. That's a market inefficiency that we can exploit. My price target on Lovely Mara is $60 and my price target on Riot is $95. Another important play that we need to discuss is PLTR. So we talked about dip buying the dip around earnings and lockup periods, and we've gotten quite the dip on our hands. Even with that little bounce that we had on Friday, there's still lots of upside up to $55, so be prepared for this play, folks. In terms of my high conviction plays, PLTR is one of the most because it's been discounted so much. For some reasons that we're not going to get into, people love to treat this one like a speculative penny stock, but it's not. PLTR has huge contracts, continues to work with and receive endorsement from major companies and government institutions, and also continues to be bought up by ARK. PLTR is going to wake up in a major way soon. The cheaper this gets, the better it is to buy. Also, I don't want you to forget about our iPod and iPoth plays. These are Spacs that haven't yet made a merger decision, and we are still waiting for that merger decision. And when they get the decision, they should pick up in a massive way. Massive way, folks. Not to be confused with meowsively, which is a completely different thing. Okay, and last reminder, Jumia, Jmia. So Jumia will be reporting their earnings on the 24th. This is our African Amazon play. Yes, Africa is a very, very hard market to grow an e-commerce company in, but Jumia is in some of the wealthiest cities and countries in Africa. And it has basically a monopoly and will continue to hold a monopoly over this market as it continues to grow and nothing else comes close. Yes, it's a hard market, but Jumia has a lot of growth to fill in order to fill in the gap of what the value of that market actually is. My price target is a range from $85 to $90, but when it comes to Jumia's earnings, you have to look at the overall market potential and then ask yourself, based on this earning, if they are going and filling in that market potential. Are they gaining market potential? Are they filling in that picture that eventually this is going to be the big winner in Africa? Or are they stepping back? Now, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to see a picture of them filling in the picture, filling in that demand in Africa and growing that industry. But we'll see what happens if we get a dip. This is a buying opportunity. Okay, so now it's time that we get into this week's plays. And I want to give you one challenge this week before we do. I want to challenge you to think about your emotions. A lot of the time I'll tell you something like, oh, buy the dip. I'll say cut losses quickly. I'll say take profits. And a lot of you, to be honest, you know what to do. If you're watching my content, you're obviously very intelligent already. That was a clever boast, wasn't it? But still, it's one thing to know what to do, and then it's another thing to actually do it. When you're about to act on what you know you should do, a lot of you don't, and the reason is because of your emotions. It's sort of like going to the gym, and then you know exactly what you should be doing, but you still don't do it. Why? Because it's hard. It's emotionally hard to get through it. So my challenge to you, if you're having a hard time with the emotions of it all, why don't you go ahead and take very, very small positions or do paper trading? Why don't you do your due diligence and then build up your confidence in a risk-free or at least low-risk environment? For some people, they like to jump in the deep end in order to learn how to swim, but you don't have to jump in the deep end. Scale up slowly. Build your confidence slowly. But anyways, folks, enough with that. The only thing that I ask in return for this video is that you hit that ravishing like button, and also don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to learn how to trade, would like access to our private chat, our daily morning briefings, and of course, our upgrades and downgrades in terms of our price targets on our plays, well, I'll go ahead and put the link to ZipTrader below, and you can check it out to see if it is a good fit. Okay, folks, so there is perhaps no other stock that is more fit for our top 3 stock designation this week than CCIV. The long-awaited hype train of the CCIV and Lucid merger may finally be moving on to the next step this week. Reports are saying that the Lucid Motors plan to go public could be announced as early as Tuesday. We've had a lot of speculation about the CCIV merger in the past. saying that it's imminent, saying that it's coming very soon, but we've never gotten an exact day. But now they're saying Tuesday, which that's something. I mean, I don't know. I would take this with a grain of salt, but we could say that it's probably going to happen this week. I would say that there's a high likelihood that it's going to happen this week based on all of these reports. We also had a little bit of an impatience drop on Friday, which was great to see because now that means that we have a lot more upside. So what is my projection, Charlie? Can you please tell me what the projection is? Well, my projection is I'd expect to see some overall pre-anticipatory running up to the actual announcement, and then if confirmed, you'd expect to see a lot of short-term money rally up the price trying to get a quick profit. My projection that I've made for the last couple weeks is that this could go to $70 to $80 if confirmed. Probably did undershoot this a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But what I'm expecting to happen, and by definition, the short-term money that got in the last couple weeks, and the short-term money that's going to get in right when this gets confirmed, well, they're likely going to go ahead and grab up their profits and run once that happens, and that's when you're going to see some cooling off. And because of the importance and value of Lucid, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a couple days of popping after the merger decision. But mark my words, whatever happens, you're going to see some cooling off after this whole hype storm is over. So how then do we play this? Well, like I've been saying for the last couple weeks, keep locking in your profits as we hit our profit targets. Remember, what we are waiting for is a merger confirmation, but after that, you then have all the time leading up to the actual merger. Once this gets confirmed and then a few weeks into the cool-off, this is going to be a completely different ball game. We'll start talking about Lucid, the company itself. Projections on deliveries, projections on how that fits into their valuation, projections on where that moves forward. But right now, this is still a rumor run. It seems almost certain that they're going to get the merger, but still, we have to play this as a rumor spec play. Once it gets confirmed and we get a good deal, then it could switch into a different type of play. It could switch into a value play. It could switch into actually valuing something like we would value NIO or Tesla or whatever other EV stocks that we talk about. And after this gets confirmed and the price settles down, you're going to start seeing big institutions that are more risk off start taking positions in CCIV. You've already seen a lot of risk-on funds take positions before the rumor was even confirmed because they saw all the potential here. But you're going to see a lot more post-merger confirmation. And you're also going to see a lot of the negative Nancy's start putting out articles saying Lucid won't be the next Tesla. Folks, I don't think that Lucid is going to be the next Tesla, but it doesn't have to be. If it's just 1/10 as good as Tesla, this is a great buy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out this week. Make sure that you're locking in profits, but also enjoy the rally. Okay, next, Clover, my favorite Clover in the whole world. Now, in terms of good deal stocks, Clover is one of the best. It got hit with a short seller report a few weeks ago, and it had such an effect on it that it's literally trading at this ridiculous price. The CEO is fighting to defend the company from what I think are mostly baseless allegations, or at least allegations that all of Clover's competitors should have as well, yet they don't. But noise aside, Clover is at a very good deal range and has an earnings report coming up on March 1st. Now, in the past, short seller Hindenburg has hit some of our other plays, such as Riot. They hit Riot back in 2018. Since then, it's grown from the single digits to over $79. Obviously, you're allowed to have some bad calls and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, do some research on Hindenburg. They do have some good callouts, but a lot of them just end up rebounding anyways. Okay, folks, now IDEX, Ideanomics. So as you may recall, I've covered IDEX in the past, and I've said that I've wanted it to get discounted, and here it has. Now, Ideanomics has interests in companies that I'm bullish on, such as Wave, which charges EV vehicles wirelessly, SolarTrak, which manufactures electric tractors, and an assortment of exposure to blockchain, just to name a few things. But the issue that I've had with IDEX in the past isn't so much the exposure that it has, but rather the fact that it has seemed in the past to be focused more on gaining exposure to trending niches instead of actually trying to focus on one and build a name for itself in that. That makes it easy for short sellers to go ahead and say that IDEX is like a pump and dump stock that just tries to chase headlines, and its price action seems to suggest that as well. But personally, my opinion on Ideanomics is that they've made pretty good headwinds in terms of the EV sector. I just think that they would have been much better off just focusing on EVs because they've been fairly good at choosing the right companies to invest in on that side. And that side's pretty much the main side that we see all the growth from. But unfortunately, they also invest in a lot of fintech companies that sound good in theory, but are likely to just slow down the company. Diversification, of course, is not necessarily bad, but when you have a company like IDEX, it's kind of bad. I mean, imagine if NIO was not just building cars, but also investing half of its market cap into Home Depot. I mean, like, yeah, Home Depot isn't exactly a not stable company. It's not exactly a disaster, but it's definitely not a drawing aspect. I'm probably being a little bit too mean on the fintech side of IDEX. They have exposure to blockchain technology and all that good stuff. It's just, They've done so much better with EVs. I just wish they would focus on EVs. But whatever, the real reason I'm making it a top stock this week is because they've gotten discounted a lot. And if you're looking for a high risk, high reward sort of stock, this is your man. For those who have a strong stomach for volatility, this is definitely getting into good deal range. Okay, now lastly for the ticker of the day. Now Draftkings will be reporting earnings on Friday. Draftkings is of course the online sports betting stock, and as you know, I've had a price target of $90 on this guy, which actually gives it a pretty decent chunk of upside. In terms of the niche that it's in, online sports betting is projected to continue growing massively over the next decade. And we're seeing some states, especially the cash-strapped states, continue to have more favorable views on it because of taxation. And with earnings on Friday, I'm really looking forward to seeing their guidance for the next quarter and the rest of the year. In terms of whether I'm bullish or not, I'm still very bullish on this stock. We just haven't talked about it because it hasn't been a big mover. But that doesn't mean that I'm not bullish on it anymore. This is one of those plays where you buy the dip and then you hold it and then you sell out when you hit the price target. Anyways, folks, that finishes off the video. Go ahead and comment below what tickers you'd like me to cover in tomorrow's video or at the end of tomorrow's video, and I'll go ahead and cover that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us below as well. You can also join us on ZipTrader Circle. If you'd like to get some free stocks and sign up with a great broker, we do have a link to Webull below. If you'd like to learn how to trade, would like access to our price targets, our daily morning briefings, and of course our private chat, I'll go ahead and put the link to ZipTrader U in the description below. Of course, only join us if you're ready to put the work in. We don't want people joining and then not using the resources. Anyways, folks, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.